great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. It is a wonderful Wednesday. In some places, a little bit wet, but that's only because, you know what, it's just dry on the inside. 949-837, 1-800-534-8255. Honored to be able to welcome to our studio our good friends from the National Drug Council. Share with you, 1 o'clock, something else in store, 2 o'clock, even more. So please, stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email Talk Today at candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. And it's truly always a pleasure to have our friends from the National Drug Council sit in their studio and share with us not just their amazing, empirical research, but the opportunities to engage in a public dialogue that hopefully informs, hopefully causes many of us to start to think about the importance of having that conversation as parents with our children and as colleagues within our offices. Perhaps as we go around the table first, our prevention specialist, Mr. Simon Miller, we invite you, sir. First off, I'll make sure I get your title right because I would say Sir Simon, but then, I know it's Wednesday, so we lead that for, other performances.
a pleasant good afternoon to you, Sir Sterling, and to the listening audience. We're here this afternoon. We want to officially give our newest members to the National Drug Council an opportunity to just introduce themselves and have a chit-chat with the public. Hopefully we get some calls in along the way.
Indeed. 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. And I think as we get set to sort of introduce our members, maybe first just turn to the research analyst, Ms. Louisa McLaughlin, for just a special welcome and good afternoon.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having us today.
Oh, always a pleasure. Now, Mr. Miller, would you want me to... No, you go ahead, sir, because, maybe I would start with Mr. McLean, but perhaps Ms. Hernandez. So I leave it to you,
Let's start with the two lovely ladies across the table, Ms. Shanika Taylor and Ms. Delisa Hernandez. Shanika, you would like to open?
Sure. Good afternoon. My name is Shanika Taylor. I'm a prevention educator trainee. I provide direct support and assistance in the delivery of alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs. Drug prevention. I partake in a lot of activities, such as Youth to Youth. I've been a Youth to Youth for 6 years, and now you can say I run the whole club.
Well, congratulations and welcome. Yes. Thank you very much.
I'm Delisa Hernandez. Some may remember me from Cayman 27's Daybreak and the Evening Show. I'm now at the National Drug Council as a prevention officer. I've been a part of Youth to Youth in the 90s when I was in high school. And ever since that, I then became a volunteer at the National Drug Council for 6 years, where Shanika was one of my students. And I've worked with her and other students really closely, and we've continued our efforts to continue to educate the teens, as well as, facilitate certain prevention pieces and other program developments throughout the National Drug Council, and some media things that we have in the works. Hashtag Arrive Alive campaign, which we'll talk about a little bit later in the coming weeks on Radio Cayman, and we have some PSAs that we've done here as well.
I'm still getting used to hashtagging upon some. I wonder if
All in
this-
due time.
So, Mr. Miller, I'm not quite sure whether we left the best for last or we.
Well, we got here right
We
now.
got here right now.
Sir Ivan McLean.
Good evening. Thanks for having us. My name is Ivan McLean, and I am the Prevention and Information Officer. I help to support the programs that are now in place, such as the Youth to Youth, the drug prevention program that we have in the schools, the high schools, and the prisons, and also to assist in developing new programming that would speak to, in particularly, the preventative aspect of dealing with the vials of illicit drugs, or the misuse of the illicit. So the other part of it, which is the information bit, is working with and supporting our analyst, Mrs. McLaughlin, and I do my best to keep up with her.
Good luck to you.
Yes. So
I'll get you a gym membership.
Yes. I get to do two things that I really love, and that's working with people in the people programs in the recovery community, whether at any level, and also juggling the numbers, looking at some facts that we do gather and how they're put together, and making sense or telling the story from what we find.
And I appreciate you sharing that, Mr. McLean, because, Simon, as we look at not just perhaps Ivan and Louise's strengths and skill sets with respect to statistical analysis, but for us here, in particular, the opportunity to share with you, not hear only about your past research, but perhaps programs going forward as a result of that research, but as a community to appreciate that we look at drugs. Now, this is not meant to offend anybody, but I say deliberately because of, well, words are powerful. I used to hear people saying alcohol or drugs and alcohol, and I'm thinking, but alcohol is a drug, so why can't we say, alcohol and other drugs, and that had offended a close friend sometimes. Maybe we're changing just something as simple as that, but it's significant to reference alcohol as a drug or not. Oh, that's just a simple thing. And the reason why I share that, I just was reminded prior to coming, and the fellow said to me, he recalled a conversation where he was working with a friend who had a child, and when the friend said, "Oh, phew, thank God, it was only ganja." That was a long time ago. Now, sadly, a lot has transpired since, but the mindset is, it's only alcohol, it's only tobacco, it's only. Well, is that a gateway? Does that mean that something else happens? And Simon, sometimes I credit people like you and the entire NDC for reminding us that it's a difficult topic, but it's one that needs to be constantly discussed publicly.
You're absolutely right, Sir Sterling. I mean, and as a society, when we keep having this conversation, we have to be mindful of what message we're sending out there, and we have to make up our minds as a society of what that message is, because it will get confusing. Brother Ivan and myself, we had a session about 2 weeks ago at a particular school, and the same conversation. Here we are in 2019, and you're right. There was a young man, who said, "Sir, but beer, that not a drug." So you're right, it happens.
Well, I'll invite you after we come back from this short break. Tell us more about it. Share with us certain things. We're going into a period of festivity now. If you're like me, every day is festive. You enjoy it. Just depends on how you celebrate it. But we have Pirates Week coming up. After that, there's going to be came out Thanksgiving, but even some of us celebrated the Canadian Thanksgiving. Then we got the American Thanksgiving coming up. Then we got Christmas, and then there it's just Wednesday. So we celebrate any day ending in a way. Let's be responsible, all right?
Yes.
All right, please join us. And then you're going to want to stay tuned because between 1 and 2, well, even more. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
As a Caymanian, it's very important to me that projects like this are thought of thoroughly before continuing.
My question is, do we need it? And I've not yet been fully convinced that we need it, nor have I been fully convinced that we don't need it. So
what guarantee do we have that these ships are going to continue to come?
Please make the right decision.
Please don't let the catchy songs overturn you. Please support the referendum. Please ensure that you are supporting sustainable tourism, not just money-making tourism.
If the project plans have changed, even though it might be insignificant on paper, it's going to be significant for the environment.
They need to release official information, official facts.
That's where I am right now. I want to know, I want more information on do we need it.
It's your vote, your future.
So make a decision based on fact.
You deserve the whole truth.
For over 100 years, more than 5.8 million people across the Americas and the Caribbean have placed their trust in Pan American Life Insurance Group. We have delivered on our promise and have proven that we're more than just an insurance company, we're family. To learn more about our first-in-class group health and employee benefit solutions, please visit Pan American Life Insurance Company of the Cayman Islands at Unit 221, Cannon Place East, North Sound Road, Grand Cayman, or contact us at 949-8304. You can also visit us online at www.palig.com. Pan American Life. People you can trust for life.
Ambitious, determined, beautiful, and unapologetically uncompromising. You have set the bar high. Now let High Fashion and Design Studio take you to the next level. Full service hair and nail salon carrying the top designer brands. Calvin Klein, 9 West. Shoes, clothing, accessories, quality dressmaking, tailoring, and custom design. High Fashion and Design Studio, located in Cayman Trade Center, 199 Eastern Avenue, across from Bananas Restaurant. Call 945-4415 to book your high fashion and design experience today. Be bold, be true, be you.
RC Fusion featuring Billboard's pop hit songs and more from the 70s to the 90s.
RC Fusion.
Weekdays from 10 a.m. till 12. RC Fusion, brought to you by Merengue Town. Take a walk on the wild side. It's time to feel the rhythm, time to feel the vibes. It's time for Merengue Town. RC Fusion.
RC Fusion.
RC Fusion.
Brought to you by Tasty Patties, baked fresh every 30 minutes. Available at Tortuga locations, the Patty Express Industrial Park, and Bake It and Take It on Eastern Avenue. Get tasty now. Yar, brought to you by Pirates Week, the Cayman Islands National Festival, celebrating 42 years of fantasy, history, and fun.
RC Fusion.
Brought to you by Nathan General Maintenance and Construction. You break it, they fix it. Call the General for a free quote, 917-7586.
RC Fusion.
Parents and students are invited to attend the 2019 Boarding School Fair on Sunday, November 17th from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Grand Cayman Marriott Resort. Speak with over 35 representatives from various junior and college prep boarding schools for grades 6 to 9 from across the United States and Canada. Learn firsthand about the advantages of attending these prestigious educational institutions, including academics, curriculum, extracurricular activities, sports and cultural programs, application process, SSAT requirements, and financial aid. For more information, contact Neil Murray at 925-8793 or email l-murray@candw.ky. The 2019 North American Boarding School Fair, building friendships, building relationships, and building experiences. Sunday, November 17th from 6 to 8 p.m. at Grand Cayman Marriott Resort.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. And it's only probably, less than 25 minutes, 26 minutes remaining. But they're going to be productive, they're going to be engaging, they're going to be informative. And they're going to leave you here thinking, you know what? I need to really do a lot more when it comes to my own being and my own children in particular. very, very, very grateful always for the efforts of the National Drug Council, for their continued research, but for their willingness to share their information with us so quickly, always in a timely manner, and so publicly. Mr. Simon Miller, Ms. Louisa McLaughlin, Mr. Ivan McLean, and as Sir Simon shared with us, not only do they have their prevention education trainee join them, who was, as they said, running the show at the Youth to Youth, but soon probably take it over in short order. Shanika Taylor, and of course Mr. Lisa Hernandez as a prevention officer. I do my best sometimes to try to remember their names and titles, because I think often we don't appreciate it when we're dealing with numbers. We lose that there's an element of humanity behind it. There's a purpose and a passion. I say that because I think sometimes, Simon, when I look at Louisa and now Ivan in his capacity over here from whence he's cometh, numbers can say a lot if they're genuinely sort of collected and collated, if they're sincerely presented and timely, they can help to inform. And now, Louisa, you make the numbers sing and dance. I think sometimes it's a calypso, but I don't know. But from that perspective, as we look at where we are with respect to what a team wants to go, between you and Simon initially, share with us. Maybe Simon, you jump in. Let's start with the teen up in particular, and the notion of how we perceive partying and celebration.
Yeah, well, we know we're on the heels of our national festival, the Pirates Week, and we know that along with that comes a lot of heritage days and so forth. A lot of our festivities always involve alcohol, and whenever and wherever we can, interject and make sure that there's a safe environment for young people to do so, in the absence of alcohol, we welcome. I remember years ago, the Savannah Newlands used to have a heritage day that was headed up by Miss Heather Borden and her team out there, and that was marketed as an alcohol-free environment, very well attended years after years, and here now, fast forward, here we are being involved with the Pirates Week committee. Miss Melanie McField, I think she's supposed to join us, right, Delissa?
Yeah.
Well,
she has us a little bit later as well.
Right,
we're on later on this evening.
And her team is also very, very mindful of that. And so she reached out to her office to be a part of creating that environment, that space. And we're going to make Delisa talk about the fine points of that particular event.
Right. So the Teen Up Street Dance is going to be taking place next Saturday, November 9th. And like Simon alluded to earlier, our main focus is making sure that the children are enjoying themselves in a drug-free and alcohol-free environment. And so, in the past, we've had, some of the teens come with their own food, and some of the teens come with their own beverages from fast food restaurants around the area. However, we're requesting that they do not do so. If they are going to bring any outside food, they're going to be put to stand outside of the gate to eat that before entering. We will be having beverages and stuff and snacks and such on sale, like sodas and water and juices for these children or for the teenagers. And overall, we're just wanting the teens to have a really good time and that the parents can enjoy their night with that sense of, knowing that their child is in a safe place and under our, protection, if I must.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that, because I think, as Simon referenced the activities of Ms. Heather in the Savannah Newlands community way back when, not just the young people attending, but their parents, their families. It wasn't just the absence of alcohol or tobacco or other products. It was the presence of families.
Right.
And I think Ms. Melanie McField, as executive director, has shared, for Pirates Week, let's present something for everybody, but for those families, in particular for those young people, to be able to, the community to provide a safe, sort of secure, nurturing environment free from the influence. If I may ask, then as we talk not just about Teen Up, but some of your other research and school-based programs and the other things that you're doing, I can only imagine the challenges that, one, you would have as an organization, and two, our youth are having. Words like edibles, becoming familiar with that. I'm thinking, edible, okay, that's something you eat, but it's being presented and marketed in such a way that it's going to be infused with a drug, It's going to be presented as a brownie, a cookie, a healthy alternative, and then the little bit I understand about the science and was it the blood-brain barrier and the timing that this thing takes to cross, not unlike alcohol consumption. You know, a very well-fed individual who's had a lasting meal may take a little bit more of the libation to feel the effects than someone who is perhaps not as nourished, if I can put it that way. But the same with the way some drugs enter the body, how that could affect us talking about it to our young people. Challenging, Simon.
Absolutely. And that's why, you know, we keep alluding to that same conversation. You know, what message are we sending? What are we saying? And although we're focusing our attention talking to young people here this afternoon, you know, the message is loud and clear too when it comes to adults. You know, you guys are 18 and you're able to, you know, purchase alcohol if you make that decision. But, you know, the message we want you to, you know, we want to get across to you is do it responsibly. You know, if you're going to go out and you're going to go to our Heritage Days or, you know, the National Festival, Pirates Week, you know, do so responsibly.
Right.
If you're going to drink, find a designated driver.
Yeah.
Right. Find a designated driver. I don't care if it's just a sip or, oh, Mr. Simon, it's just a Heineken. I don't care what it is.
Right.
Designated driver. That's the safest thing to do.
You never know how that would affect you.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. But equally, and I'll just share with the listeners, the phone lines are open if you want to share a comment, 949-8037, of course, toll free at 1-800-534-8255, and then on WhatsApp. Even old people can use WhatsApp. I mean, I'm getting used to that now. When I say that, I mean I refer to myself, 925-3261. I mean, I've WhatsApped, you know, Mr. McLean a couple of times, by accident a few times, but, you know, thankfully it wasn't any too bad. But so it's there for us, and I'd say that partly to Justin, to maybe get people to stop for a second and appreciate what NDC is doing and the impact that it's having on our communities. We look at, I reference some of the studies coming out of the U.S. state of California, and as they drill down to some of their cities, even in San Francisco and other parts, we see the impact of them trying to deploy an initiative to say, let's increase the age at which a person can legally smoke, right? Because that has a knock-on effect of increased health, reduced healthcare costs, but also the reduced, you know, incidence of smoking being taken out later in life. If we come to the Cayman context, yeah, we can legally, you know, drink at 18, but are we being wise about it at 25 when we're drinking? Maybe we're celebrating a particular accomplishment, and that one sip, maybe one sip too many, that has affected us. And God forbid, it results in some injury or death, but you get stopped. The next thing you know, you're before the courts for drunk driving. It affects your job, your scholarship, your promotion, your
life.
Your life.
Yeah.
But from that, Ms. Hernandez, when we think of it and we think of our young people, I mean, not unlike the song that said girls want to have fun. Young people, they see us as their parents, as their older siblings, and the commercials on TV, the songs that they're listening to, everything projects this image of partying and fun being equated with some of the sort of intoxicating the substance.
And I mean, we've had the conversations with our teens at the youth program and kind of had, found out what their take on how the media and other people that surround them kind of sell, for example, vaping and alcohol and all the things that they're affected by. And they're very smart children. I think a lot of the time parents don't tend to realize how intelligent their child is and that they see a lot more than we actually do in regards to, what the media puts out there and how to attract them. And Shanika can talk on this and how the teens have reacted to that. And they're, they know right from wrong. And and a lot of the time as well, they have had the conversation with us in that, well, my parents did this or my parents did that. And so if they told me not to do it, then I'm not going to do it. But then again, my friend on the other side, on the left-hand side of me is doing it. So I could try. Yeah. Having that conversation in regards to the SISTUS survey that we do every 2 years at the National Drug Council, the studies show that the conversation is, with their parent is more important than having with for example, me or a educator or a, it's important at the end of the day.
And I think if I might, as we come back from this sort of short break in this segment here, Ms. Taylor, if it's okay, as was asked, maybe share, not just as sort of an educator, but also as a youth, being a part of the program. How do we reach your peers? How is that being received? And after we come back from the break, give us a perspective, because sometimes I think it is true. We don't realize how intelligent and observant and absorbent our young people are, but equally how much what we do is influence what they're doing. It isn't just do as I say, not as I do, but more importantly. So if that's okay, Ms. Taylor, maybe you can share with us.
I'll be happy to share.
All right, perfect. Listen, out of the words of the youth, wisdom follows. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
I'm starting my shopping early this year. What you want for Christmas?
All I really want for Christmas is for my packages to arrive on time.
Plan ahead to get your shipments into Seaboard Marine on time and avoid the holiday rush. Check out their great less-than-container shipment rates. Seaboard saves you time, money, and convenience with consolidation and repacking options available. Take a load off Santa this holiday season. Shop, ship, and save on your small packages with Seaboard Marine. Give us a call at 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com/grand-cayman for quotes or additional details.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
King Sports Center takes pride in being more than just an ordinary gymnasium. For 14 years, their multi-purpose facility has been providing the community with a variety of sporting, recreational, and relaxation activities. King Sports Center has a bowling alley, lounge bar, multi-purpose rooms, powerhouse gym, rock climbing wall, bungee jumping, a 10,000 square foot rink, and so much more. For more information on the variety of services, call their friendly staff today at 946-5464 or email kings@candw.ky or visit www.kingsportscenter.com. King Sports Center, your one-stop shop for fitness, recreation, and relaxation.
Did you know that CPR Cayman is now a registered non-profit organization? The government is spending a lot of money on their campaign, so we need your help to get the word out to as many people as we can. You can make a donation via our website cprcayman.com or call us at 938-5876. This is our first people's initiated referendum for a decision that will affect everyone's future. It's your vote, your future. So make a decision based on fact. You deserve the whole truth.
Do you own a Cayman parrot?
They are a protected species, but people have been allowed to keep them as pets for years.
It's opened the door to nest robbing and illegal trade of our national bird.
We need to stop it, but we should also give current Cayman parrot owners a chance to keep their bird legally.
If you own a Cayman parrot, you have until February 29th next year to register it with the Department of Environment.
Find out more about parrot registration by calling 949-8469 or emailing doe@gov.ky. Let's protect our Cayman parrots.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon, welcome back, and thanks again to Miss Susan. I know she has a challenging day, boy. Every day she's behind the board trying to make sure that talk show host does his job. Oh yeah. Pray for her, people, pray for her. 949-8037, 1-800-534-TALK, as we are truly honored that the good folks at the National Drug Council, which are Simon, Louisa, to your new colleagues, Ivan, Ms. Hernandez and Ms. Taylor, for coming on board. Please don't be shy. Do not be strangers, come as often as you can. Just prior to the break, Ms. Taylor, we were asking as your capacity, but as a young person, one, on the receiving end of a message, and then two, now presenting that message. Your perspective, Mom.
At Youth, my role is to lead, and I find that kids open up more when you get kind of down to their level and make it safe that they can tell you anything. Recently I had a connection with some teens, and it was surprisingly how open they were to me. You know what I mean? And that made me feel good because they actually talk to me and they actually can open up to me. And I feel like to get through to teens, we need to make that open environment, not that, oh, I'm so scared my mom's going to beat me, but that welcoming arm to say, okay, Mom, this is what is happening at school, or this is what happened. And for your parent to come to you and, for you not to be afraid to tell them these things. And I also feel like social media too as well. If you want to get through to teens, social media, is it Instagram, all these other
thanks for explaining that to me as well. So Instagram is social media.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
No, I say that partly joking, but partly realizing that many of us as parents, whether we're in our 30s or 40s, well, maybe not those in the 30s so much, we don't realize how our children are being bombarded.
Yeah.
But still, if I could ask of you though, we realize not just the importance of the annual drug use survey amongst our youth. We not only realize how telling the statistics, or the way that they inform us in terms of exposure, what they're using, but from that perspective, what do you think of our youth when it comes to drugs in particular, the usage? And just share. I'm careful how I ask, but
I feel like sometimes we think that they're not getting drugs, or it's hard for them to get it. It's so easy, it's a snap of a finger. It's all around school, it's all around the environment. And as easy as it is, we think that, oh, no, they can't really get that, not my son, or something like that. It's very, very easy. And we come to see more of it as time go on. So I think it's very, very important that we talk to our child about it, but not even just saying don't do it, but why should we not do it?
Okay.
And things like that.
So that parent speaking to the child about it, the ins and outs, the ups and downs and what have you, helpful, do you think?
I think it is helpful. Very, very helpful for your parents to come to you and tell you why things are not done, but also your peers. That's why at Youth, teens lead other teens with adult supervision, of course. But having it come from your parents, say, this is not cool, this is the thing that can happen to you, and I don't want nothing to happen to you, that makes a big impact on a child.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just to interject a bit, sorry, Mrs. Sterling,
No,
but
please don't.
I come from the time when, and I think we all have, when we would have the conversation with our parents, but we have yet to get a word in because they are actually talking over, after they ask the question, we're about to answer, I think we need to change that approach a bit because teens right now, and having worked with them for the last 7 years, they want to be heard. They want to have that conversation. And in order for you to have, as a parent, to have that conversation with your child, you need to listen. Listen, having that gift of listening, even if it's something that you actually are afraid to hear, it's better to know what your child is doing and coming from your child's mouth rather than getting a call from school or finding out later of what they have done already.
I appreciate sharing that because I wanted to ask actually, and you answered it before, but this notion that we don't seem to appreciate, I think as Ms. Taylor shared, our young people, our children, they are aware. I don't want to say introduced, but at least aware of things happening in our communities, but globally. And whether it's somewhere here in Grand Cayman or it's somewhere, over in Europe, the children seem to be involved in the same things. Their peers, they're talking, they're doing, it's the same thing. Is that a fair assessment, Ms. Taylor, that no matter where they live, there's the same thing happening?
Social media is all around. So if somebody in Africa knowing about it, somebody in Cayman, Canada, it's all one thing.
All right. Can I then ask, not necessarily to you directly, but just generally, and again, carefully, not to be inflammatory, but for us to not leave here thinking, there's this unfortunate perception, my words, that we have that, oh, not my child, or, well, not them because they go there, their parents are so and so. doctor, lawyer, teacher, engineer, plumber, electrician, go to church, don't go to church, play football, whatever we find some excuse, oh, not them, that school not there. We make this assumption that it isn't. But it seems that, like illnesses, it doesn't discriminate. Like everything else. Is that what is happening here in Kimantu?
I feel like just because you think it's not your child doesn't mean it is. You need to know the facts and not to exclude them just because you think they won't do it. But it's everywhere. They might see someone doing it, or on, whether it's in real life or on the media or their favorite show. Always to talk to them because it's there.
One thing that I tend to talk to, I've had conversations in the past with a few parents, and what they've said is, if my child see me doing something, or if I have it there, they're going to want to find out, why is it that I'm doing it? Let me see what is cool thing, gadget that daddy or mommy is using. And it has nothing to do with peer pressure. Mind you, if you allow it to be within your household, you do it in front of your child, I think that it's important that you know that you're opening that bit of curiosity.
You're validating this thing, whatever this thing is.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's, as parents, we don't realize how our children. So we sit down to a meal and maybe it's a particular drink. Maybe it's just tea, just regular tea.
And
your child doesn't drink it.
Exactly. And there's one thing that we always, we have a conversation, Shanika and I and our director, as well as Simon, is sometimes we get home from work and we're like, oh, what a stressful day we had. Give me a glass of wine. What message is that giving to your child? I had a stressful day at school. I need a glass of wine. I had a stressful day at school. I need a cigarette. I had a stress equals do a drug. You know what I mean? Not that that's your intention at any point, but sometimes, there is some sort of...
It's a correlation for them. Yeah. And conditioning. I think, Ms. Louisa, the way you see it.
Yes, and the survey always confirmed that. We ask about what are the reasons that you have in order to use substances, and majority are saying stress, right? So probably they are receiving that message at home also.
And I not to put a soft point, but it applies to the same thing. If you come in home and you jump down in front of the TV, oh, tired, I got to rest and veg out, and you complain that your child isn't going outside up and down, well, are they doing what you're doing? No. Sometimes we just don't appreciate it. I recognize the time, and I certainly want to make sure that publicly you always feel welcome and invited to return again. But in the interest of the discussions, maybe two things. Teen Up is just around the corner. Can you use a couple of extra hands on deck? If so, how? And I'm probably not tall enough, so I mightn't qualify. But
we certainly need a lot of volunteers. We have currently about 5 volunteers who've confirmed. We need 5 more, preferably both men and women, not just moms, please. And, can you give us a call at 949-9000 or send an email to info@ndc.ky. We really need the assistance. Even if it's an hour next week, Saturday evening, trust me, it's going to be really important, your presence and assistance throughout that time. And I just want to reiterate as well, the Teen Up Dance is going to be next week, Saturday. There's going to be a specific time frame between probably 8:30 and 10 o'clock, where the teens will not be able to leave that dance. We're going to wait until the parent comes and collects their children, right? So parents, you're required to come and collect your child within that time, because they're not going to be able to come and find you because they're going to be with us. It starts at 7 p.m. Gates will open at 6:30. Again, no alcohol, no smoking, no vaping, no anything that they shouldn't be doing in that area at all, and it's free admission. Drinks are on sale.
All right. Well, you know what? As parents, we talk about village. Well, are we involved? Now, every 2 years you have your survey. Is it coming up again soon, Ms. Louisa?
Yes, definitely. It's coming in February 2020, and once again, our project always rely on volunteers, and we need the assistance of everybody. This is important. It's just 1 hour per day. We go into schools, we administrate the survey, and that's it. It's a simple task, but we really the support of the community. in the schools.
So
You can register as a volunteer in our website. There is a form, so you can complete the form, and we will have you in our list of volunteers.
I'm glad that our community is responsive, you know. And
Also going back to the Teen Up, just to make sure this event is for teens 12 to 16 only.
So no 17-year-olds, no 18-year-olds.
No 11-year-olds.
12 teen to 16.
Yeah, 12 teen to 16. They think they're 13 already.
Yeah. Or some of them, well, you know.
For those that would like to volunteer either for the SISDA or for the youth-to-youth function, the website for the sign up for the assistance in the school survey can be done at ndc.ky, www.ndc.ky, where you can find the form, and either call 949-9000 or info@ndc.ky, email.
Right.
So
Perfect.
please do.
And that's for next Saturday, 6:30 the gates open, go to 10. Let us know if we can remind you.
Yes.
Mr. Miller, final words, sir.
In closing, just wanted to thank you, sir, for giving us the opportunity to come and introduce our new team. We're very excited at the National Drug Council. And to the listening audience, parents, if you feel you don't have the words to speak to your child, or you want to know what's going on with young people in the country, give us a call. You can take part in one of our Parents Preventers trainings, or we could come to your workplace and do a little lunch and learn, bring in some food, and we just chit chat. Yeah. So just reach out to us at the National Drug Council. You heard all of our email addresses and websites and everything else. So don't be strangers.
We're in the phone book.
There's a phone book. Sorry. I missed the last few. But thank you all very, very much. And I really say this, what you do is so important for us. And as parents, we're grateful. All right, we're going to pause and take a break. Miss Anglin should be sitting out there in the chairs to join us. What is she going to say? Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Today's biggest news.
Radio K-Man.
It's only 2 species that we have, on the island.
Your voice, your choice. For today's biggest news. Access to information.
Local, regional, international. This is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom team.
Today's biggest news.
Tomorrow, several neighborhoods across Cayman will be celebrating Halloween, and as such, police are reminding the public to exercise caution during the time when children might be out trick-or-treating, which is approximately between 5 and 9 p.m. Motorists are asked to drive with extra care and precaution and to be on the lookout for children walking on the roadways going trick-or-treating across Cayman. A fire in Southern California has prompted a rare, quote, extreme red flag warning issued by the Los Angeles Weather Service. It covers L.A., Ventura, and San Bernardino counties. Winds are already nearing 70 miles per hour, and there is a concern that they will fan the Getty Fire, which has already burned through 658 acres. And the U.S. House of Representatives has voted overwhelmingly in favor of recognizing the mass killings of Armenians by Ottoman Turks during World War I as a genocide. The issue is highly sensitive and comes amid deteriorating U.S.-Turkey relations. Presidential hopeful Joe Biden said the vote honored the memory of the victims. Those are your headlines. I'm Karsley Fuller.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Can you imagine where Cayman runs off renewable energy? We can. Learn how you can join government and be an energy advocate.
Visit the Ministry of Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure's Facebook page to learn more. 89.9 Radio Cayman helps you to weather the storm during this hurricane season.
One of the most crucial elements of hurricane preparedness is storm awareness. During the season, it is of utmost importance to pay attention to the latest local weather forecasts, as hurricanes do not suddenly form or strike. There are various methods of advanced notification. Utilizing such may be the difference between a favorable outcome and disaster. Both television and radio serve as excellent mediums with up-to-the-minute storm path information in the wake of a hurricane. Another method of tracking a hurricane may be only arm's length away. Your smartphone or tablet can be your most valuable tool. before, during, and after a storm, providing countless numbers of apps with crucial hurricane information. Many apps allow you to track storms with moving radar and satellite imagery, plus offer alerts, current conditions, forecasts, advisories, and even video.
This hurricane preparedness tip was brought to you by your community radio station, Radio Cayman 89.9 FM.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thank you so much for joining us. And it truly is a wonderful pleasure. I see it honestly as a distinct privilege to be able to sit here and facilitate our discussions. For those of you out there who have any inkling, any sort of wonderful counsel that you can offer as to how I can do it better, then let me know. I can't improve how good I look, but if you get rid of the cameras, I might look even better. Miss Katina Anglin, good afternoon to you, Mom.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. Good afternoon, Cayman Islands. God bless you.
And amen to that, and blessings to you and to our people. And I'm grateful that you take time out of your studies and spend a couple of minutes with us. I share this with you. Earlier, I had a few individuals who were thinking of getting involved in a particular project, so they were trying to formulate, and they were looking for voices, for people who can share convincingly, but respectfully. And what was unfortunate is that in our community, we don't have this repository of people that we can pull on and say, hey, who would be good to talk about this, good to talk about that. And almost in unison, I know someone who's been talking a lot recently, making good comments, and your name popped up, and I thought, that's good, that's encouraging. Because more of us that are able to speak from an informed perspective, speak passionately, but speak respectfully about something, then it should cause us as a people to be inspired and encouraged, but equally appreciate, wait a minute, if there's 100,000 of us, shouldn't there be at least more than one that is going to be talking publicly about things that are good? So thank you for at least being one of the ones.
Thank you very much, Dwayne. And speaking up, speaking out is something that we as a nationality need to learn to do. And then after we learn to do it, do it. I think a lot of what it is we are intimidated. And then we're also very conscious people. We don't like to offend anyone. And so we would much rather just shy off and pray and hope that it goes the right way, rather than saying, let me tell you straight up, I don't like what you said. I don't like what you did. I think it could be done better this way. This is how I feel about this, and this is the way I'd like for you to do it. And with that, I'm talking in reference to elected representatives, Dwayne. And it was really awesome. You start off by saying, if you know a way that I can do this better, please let me know. And politicians need the same support. Yeah. All right? Because it is just foolhardy for us to sit and believe that politicians should know, must know, do know exactly what they must do in every given circumstance and how all 69,000 of us feel about in a one given topic. You need to voice your opinion to politicians, and even in forums such as this.
Exactly. If she might allow me to borrow what she just shared, Mr. Lisa Hernandez was just here.
Yes.
And she says, a parent, unfortunately, we're talking to our children about something. Doesn't matter what that thing is. Right? We start talking, we ask a question, but before the child can respond, we don't give them a chance. We keep talking. That's hopeful. I'm not trying to offend parents, because probably we do that not even realizing we've done it, or that we're doing it. Listening, actively listening, genuinely listening, trying to understand, and willing to say, okay, hang on, I don't know what you just said. I don't know the word. Or what does that mean? Or I don't understand the context. What does that mean? But a discussion, a dialogue, a discourse, we use all these words, but we don't seem to appreciate it. So then, may I then ask then from that perspective of the politician, as it were. Some people, politician, pastor, preacher, principal, everybody else. Some of us seem that because our title, the position, we have developed, or at least perceived to develop, this level of power and importance, arrogance and condescending tone, whatever it is. So we no longer want to listen to anybody, because what can you tell me? You ever been in a class where the teacher tell you something and the child puts hand up and say, but what if, the rock fell off the ledge and, that has almost obviously unfortunately happened at some point in time?
It has. And I think that the arrogance of the position, not understanding that the position in itself is where the power rests, and it doesn't particularly rest in you except for the power of God. Mr. Chris Saunders spoke beautifully to that yesterday when he said that regardless of which of the seats that he sits in, the seat belongs to his constituents.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they don't refer to people in the House by their names, but refer to them by their elected positions, because the seat belongs to the people. And yeah, we do have a tendency to get into thinking that we are better than and greater than, and after all, that's why I'm here and you're there, not realizing the fact that the most powerful of us is the servant. And even Christ spoke of that. He who is great is a servant.
Yeah.
If
I dare may ask you, sorry, go ahead.
No.
You referenced something, and the thought that I heard was straight talk, right? The notion that we have a discussion, and some of us would grow up hearing from our parents, straight talk, bring no fallout. No. And those of you who can't stand SBEs, make someone translate that here. But you're talking to somebody and they ask you a question, you give it to them, straight up. Many of us don't like the truth. We were quick to quote, the truth will set you free. It's only when you start getting in trouble. So we back away from maybe not sharing it as accurately, maybe not at that time, because then they'll come back and say to you, well, I could have told you that. Yeah, but you didn't. So then from that perspective, then in particular with the politician, as it were, because I think at a time in our history now, not only are we in a very festive time, with Pirates Week coming up, some of us celebrated with their Canadian friends and probably still ate too much and still reading from that. Some of us looking forward anxiously to the U.S. Thanksgiving, and we're going to embrace it. And they came on Thanksgiving right behind the corner, and then Christmas.
And then Christmas, all in turkey's going to get killed in it.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Before, referendum day, we could probably be so full
stuff
fit
like a turkey, we can't move.
You might be able to get up there. But yet our people are engaged and are becoming more and more willing to say things, right? So how do we get to that place now where understanding the importance of what is unfolding, understanding the importance of being informed, understanding the importance of the positions that we either have been appointed or elected or we have assumed, that now maybe more than ever the country needs the servant leader. The country needs that level of, can I say statesman? Because maybe statesperson. I don't know. It doesn't sound the same. But, that level of, involved citizen that is going to speak with a genuine, healthy respect for the issue and for the principle, and even to the person, and not necessarily make it become this political football, this one-upmanship, this thing of, how can I make you look better so I can look,
how make you look worse so I can look better.
Oh, see, I can't even say that. I always think about how to make it look better. Thank you for fixing that.
I think, Dwayne, speaking from the politician, elected representative angle first, is that I think all of them realize that they're going to have thousands of different personalities to deal with. Those personalities.
Is that within themselves? I'm just kidding. No.
Sometimes I think,
I should be serious.
But anyway, but there is something talk about being able to manage yourself and being all to all people, right?
Right.
And there are so many different personalities that they have to deal with, and they have to adjust to it. And I think that they are very much aware of the need to be able to do that, and that they will be greeted in the right way by many and greeted in the wrong way by many. So they themselves either have to have thick skins. Certainly they have to have wise heads as to how to manage themselves, but they have to be receptive to what the people have to say, with the realization that some of us just simply just say what it is that's on our minds. We have no regard whatsoever about how it's going to affect the next person. All right? Okay. But we say it. We say it. And I think that is very important, because if you say what it is that's on your mind, I know what it is that is affecting you. I may even have, if you're not too brash, the opportunity to ask you back, well, is there some guidance you can give me for how I can help you in this situation?
Right. Okay.
Right? But it starts first with you speaking. Now, as a citizen speaking,
isn't Miss Susan wonderful? I tell you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Miss Susan. As a citizen speaking, first we must be informed. I think one of the most dangerous things that happens is the Mile Road conversation, where you're making decisions but not informed of the facts, right? So, and you're passing comments, and so all you're doing is furthering the rumor instead of finding the facts, understanding the situation, and then giving some input on it. Now, I too am guilty of making movements such as that. So I'm speaking from a personal perspective as well. And I continue to try to be more of a fact finder. Not to the point where it puts me in, as they call it, analysis paralysis, to spend all of my time trying to figure out all of the mechanics that goes along with finances before I say to someone in finance department, I think that that department needs more money. You know, not taking it so far, but having knowledge, being informed to the minimum level of the topic, right, before you speak. But not reserving all of this before you speak to put together some grandiose speech.
All right. So let's then, if we could, because I recognize we are speaking to Miss Katina Anglin. She has a break, I don't even want to call it lunch break, because between 1 and 2. So we can have a chat with her up until 2 o'clock. In this perspective, in this time, I'm finding, if people will forgive me, I walk out in the community and people are asking questions, sharing their opinions. A lot of our young people, those under 30, if I could even include that age group there, but even those under 20, asking questions, having comments, not just the student who is in school, whether that's a university setting or whether that's a high school setting, but the young person. And when you listen to what they're saying, when you recognize that many times it's a question or questions that they're asking, it isn't emotive, it isn't political, it isn't posturing or trying to make one look good or one look bad, but it's challenging. So when we come back, we got to pause and take the break, as Ms. Susan shared. Thanks, I almost forgot it. When we come back, can we talk about that, because it's just 17, 18 minutes past 1 now. So just before 11, one called and said, listen, the vote is coming up on the referendum. I have to choose between a yes or a no. If I vote no, that's no. If I vote yes, that's yes. If I don't vote because I'm not sure what to vote, that's a yes. It had some questions on that. But what they were asking is, well, where can I go to get more information? That is just information. Right. And I thought, okay, well, here's some things. So when we come back, let's talk more about the referendum, the process, get a perspective from you, and see where it takes us. All right. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Logic presents The Change Project, a campaign that highlights the reality of cyberbullying and the mental health impact it has on teens, parents, teachers, and families. Few people speak up when they witness cyberbullying, but we can change that together. We can strive to make a difference in our community by promoting responsible internet and social media use in the Cayman Islands and beyond. Will you pledge to make a safer, friendlier world online? Visit thechangeprojectcayman.com and take the pledge today. Proudly presented and supported by Logic.
This referendum is bigger than the port itself. This is going to teach our people that, yes, we can make decisions. We can stop roads from being closed. We can stop markets from being developed. We can get jobs, we can be trained. Never again will we be second-class citizens in our own country begging at the doors of the NAU. I implore you to come out and vote in this referendum. We can change our circumstances forever.
Hi, it's me, your teenager. So I did an anonymous drug survey at school in 2018. The results revealed that a 13-year-old is likely to try vaping for the first time. And it showed that 3 in every 10 teens have already tried vaping at least once in their lifetime. Over the 3,000 teens that took the survey, 76.3% said that their parents have had the conversation with them about drugs and alcohol. Anyways, I was watching a commercial and this really cute guy said that vaping is much safer than smoking. And he used a vape that looks like a USB and has no smoke. It was so cool.
Contact the National Drug Council and learn about the Parents as Preventers training. This message was brought to you by the National Drug Council and Radio Cayman.
Pirates Week is sending out an SOS to all soca junkies. Sounds of Soca is bringing the biggest, baddest soca artists to Harbor Drive. Friday, November 8th, dance to the sounds of Irfan Alves, Alison Hines, and the Queen of Bacchanal, Destra. All backed by the Bacchanal Band. $30 pre-sold, $40 at the gate. Gates open at 7 p.m. But that's not all. It's a vibe with Nessa Preppy on Saturday, November 9th. Free. SOS also features some of Cayman's top DJs and entertainers. Sounds of Soca. A weekend of street dances. Friday, November 8th and Saturday, November 9th. Get your tickets now at Winner's Circle, Blackbeard's Liquor, and eventpro.ky. Sounds of Soca is sponsored by Ministry of Tourism, Department of Tourism, Ministry of Culture, AI Rentals, Ace Hardware, Bacardi, Cayman Airways, and Sharkies.
Headlines.
With the latest headlines.
Headlines.
One of Cayman's bright and shining young stars. Local, regional, international.
Headlines.
Turning to international news. Updates on the hour between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. on weekdays. All the news when you want it. Tune in to Radio Cayman for hourly headlines of the day's top stories.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thanks for joining us, and to our guests, a special thanks to Ms. Katina Anglin for sitting in and sharing a perspective. It's good to have, in my mind, the perception at the very least. We try very hard to make it a reality that our studios are accessible, so that the public can have at least get a chance to hear from, I don't want to call them ordinary because our people are extraordinary. So from our people that we see, know, and engage. So thank you much, Ms. Katina.
Thank you very much. And it's good when citizens, just common citizens, come in and share their viewpoint without having to be a part of a special interest group or fighting for this, because I'm not a member of the CPR group, right? As a matter of fact, I am one of the advocates for having a port. I never forget one day, I stood under the shelter of the Margaritaville area there, and it was so hurtful to watch the tourists standing there with shopping bags, with their arms stretched out, trying to hold towels over themselves and others, and the rain just beating down in sleets on them. And I was Harbour Ambassador at that time. And I also had to go out there and help to revive people who had fainted standing in the sun. I am an advocate for port enhancement and for as much as having a proper functioning cruise and cargo port. So I'm not trying to stop the port. That's not the banner that I'm holding up. What I am saying is that any and all processes, especially a project of this size, needs to have, first and foremost, absolute transparency. The essence of democracy must be seen, felt, and heard. It must be apparent that the government is moving with this in the most democratic, accountable, transparent way as possible. And I haven't seen that. As a matter of fact, as I continue to watch, observe, and question more and more, I become more convinced that this is something that I need to vote to stop for now until we can get the rest of things in order. For example, after they had the discussions and they had identified their successful tender bidder, then they went out to do CBA testing to see whether or not the pilings were going to work in soundness and so on and so forth. So how then did we get to doing that after we have identified a tenderer and identified a location? But how can you really have a location if you're not sure if the ground is going to hold your project? Should not have been one of the first things that was done. Now, the young person who was saying to you, what do I do, is a very, very good, it's a sound question. And the reason why they're asking that probably is because they don't have enough information to make a decision whether or not they want to vote for the port to go forward or whether they want to vote for the port not to go forward. Because they don't have enough information. They are not informed. They know that they know so little that they know that they don't know what to do. Right?
Okay.
And so that's a very, very good question that they ask. And it's a question amongst, I believe, the vast majority of people in this country.
Well, if there was one question that I've heard, in whatever form you phrase it, it comes down to that same question from that young person to a much, young at heart.
That's really fitting. That's us. And even the 91-year-olds too are young at heart.
Yeah.
My mama told me the other day, she said, something I said about being old, and she said, old? I'm not old. I'm a senior citizen. See me, I'm on my way to Georgetown now and getting my things done. I'm not old.
There you go.
So she's still young at heart as well. But,
Miss Katina, I want to interject a second and pick up a phone call. So as we go to our phones, but I want to come back and you share, because I want to ask again something I'm pretty sure I heard what you said, but I want to repeat again. But let's go to our phones. Katina Anglin is our guest. The phone lines are open. 949-8037 or toll free. So stay tuned. Let's go to the phones. Welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Good evening, Brother Sterling.
Blessings to you, my good friend. How are you?
Oh, I'm feeling good now after hearing Miss Anglin on Miss Katrina. How you doing?
I am fine. How are you today?
Oh, Lord. So happy to hear your voice. So happy to hear your voice.
I am happy that the sound of my voice has brought you such joy.
But you not got enough time. Hey, listen, tell Sterling one more time. Okay, and we get lunch for you and him.
Yeah.
And I can't forget Susie. But listen to me, really quickly.
Yes, sir.
It's been a little while I haven't called in because I've been spending a lot of time in prayer.
Amen.
Plenty time in prayer. Sometimes I gotta get help sometimes to get up off my old knees, but He will give me the strength to get up.
Amen.
There is, and I know you're all Bible people, and Caymanian people should be all Bible people. We sorry for them that come in here and don't know the Bible, but we grew up from the Bible. He has founded it upon the seas. So from that time. But there is a nice story I got two books that I read, two story books. One has a black cow and one has a brown cow. And it had big writing in it. And it's a story in 1 Samuel chapter 8. And when you get time, I know maybe you all know it, but for the listening public, 1 Samuel chapter 8, and read the story when the Israelites was asking for a king. Because why? Was the reason? Because they wanted to be like the other nations around them. Huh? So the same thing that I understand some people is asking for the dock. I guess 95% of the island people do agree that we need a dock, but not in Georgetown Harbor. That is the only problem, not in Georgetown Harbor. But just read the story. Please, people, remember this. 1 Samuel chapter 8, and see what happened to the king they got. Because God said they wasn't rejecting Samuel. They was rejecting him. God created out there. God created out on that iron shore from before our parents was here. And then after you get through reading that, if you wasn't convinced, read 2 Samuel chapter 1, the fall of David, and see what happened. That's all I want to say about the port.
Yes, sir.
And let me tell you something. Man said something, but God got the last say.
All right. Hey, thank you very much, sir.
He got the last say.
Amen.
So remember that.
All right.
Remember that. We all want a port, but remember what happened when you get the port. Have a good day, Mr. England.
You too. God bless you.
God bless her. Thanks.
And thank you for always having your eyes and your heart on God, always seeking His direction in all things.
Amen.
You know, the country who worships God, who rejoices in God, who serves God, is a happy nation. It's a good nation. It's prosperous. And even the Bible shows you that when the Israelites' hearts were on God, and they served God, things were well. Mm-hmm. And when they ran off chasing everything else that wasn't of God, things went wrong, you know?
That's good to know. That's so
yes.
true. We have another caller?
Yes.
All right, let's take our call. Good afternoon. Thank you for sharing.
Good afternoon, Sterling.
Hey, sir. How are you today?
You?
Blessed
I am
and
good.
thankful. Why you sound like
Great,
you would be
wonderful.
so young that people would even mistake you for being a West Bayer.
Well, I am. They won't let me into West Bay. But hi, Miss
I can greet you right at the boundary mark. I can give you.
I
I can meet you at the boundary mark, and I can give you a stamp to enter with a non-expiration date. Okay?
Darling,
you're going to be.
I like that.
You're going to be like the Treaty of Lisbon.
Okay. Nice. All right.
Yes, sir.
Danglin, I heard you said something earlier that you support the port, but you need more information.
Yes.
Can you make a list? And any of you ever made a list of what information you needed? Because, let me put it this way, I'm not involved with the port, but I support the port.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a very practical man.
Mm-hmm.
I've traveled around the world a lot, and I've seen how things happen. Developments, big machinery. And I was surprised that so many people are asking for information and facts when it was down at Margaritaville yesterday evening from 4 o'clock till 8 o'clock. And what I needed more to learn was the system of dredging they were going to use, the method. I learned that it's going to be used, the method is going to use not by the hydraulic, but a mechanical system, which is a big excavator, sort of, but it's a monster. It's going to go down, excavate the rock, take it up, put it on a barge, take it ashore and put it where they want to put it. That's what I learned yesterday. I went where the facts were. They said, come and you learn where the fact is. I didn't see much people down there. But that's how, I got to say something today. Do we really want to know the facts?
Okay, which one of your questions you want me to answer first? The one about the list? Because my list continues to grow.
Yeah,
just
give me one of the list. On your list.
Let's talk about the impact to 7 Mile Beach. And first, I want to let you and everybody else in Cayman to know that I am more concerned about the democratic principle than I am about the environmental impact. There are environmentalists out there who are fighting on the environmental front because they have their concerns about the environmental impact and the process about the machinery and excavators and whatever else you want to name out there that I really don't understand the language of. And attending a meeting at one time is not going to give me all of the understanding about the machinery and the process. That's superficial knowledge. That's not what I'm talking about. But since you came from that angle, one of the statements that has continued, and I realized this last night, having attended yet another sitting of the Legislative Assembly, and hearing this come up again last night, was that the quote that has always been presented is that it is unlikely to happen that it will affect negatively the 7 Mile Beach. Unlikely to happen. So what is the degree of unlikeliness? Is it at the higher end or the lower end? Is it mid-range? If it does affect the 7 Mile Beach, by what percentage then will that unlikeliness affect the 7 Mile Beach? Will it be at a greater section, greater proportion, or a lesser proportion? To what degree and what extent? Will it cause a greater embankment and so the beach will then extend itself and be filled with more silt, or will it be lessened? Will there be a devolution of the land, and so we're going to end up with the 7 Mile Beach then eroding the 7 Mile Beach Road? So, unlikely to happen. What does unlikely to happen really, truly mean? Now, when they put the ad out and the press release out, and they said to the effect that it was $200 million subject to further other circumstances. Subject to. So, how much can this change? Because remember, we started off with a $40 million airport. It went into a $10 million overrun, and we're still building on it. Every project the government has entered into, there has been one quote, and then we ended up spending a whole lot more. So what is the deviation from that figure that has been presented so far? Now, I want to remind you, this is also the same government who told us that when they were deploying genetically modified mosquitoes into our environment, if I'm not mistaken, I believe this is the same seat that I'm sitting in that the premier sat in, and he turned and he said to Order Corner that I was misleading the people and that I didn't know anything about mosquito. I didn't know nothing about mosquito. I come out of Birchtree. I don't know nothing about mosquitoes to me. Anyway, that this was 100% risk-free. And this information had been handed down even from Dr. Petrie, who had also come on here with Oxitec, a foreign investing company in the Cayman, and sat here, and Oxitec told Petrie told the Honorable Premier. The Honorable Premier told the country we're 100% risk-free. As we know, the Minister of Health cancelled that program and said his people wasn't going to be used as guinea pigs anymore, and now we have unkillable mosquitoes, as they referred to them in the Legislative Assembly last night, loose in our environment, and the whole world is at concern about what is going to happen, how they're going to be managed. My question to that is this: how are you going to take the 100 million mosquitoes back out of the environment and now has a transgene? If I can move on from that, sir, my concern is not so much into the environmental aspect of this, but let me turn with you to Section 69 of the Constitution, which says, beginning sentence, a law enacted by the legislature. So there must be a law in place. Let me say, I am not a lawyer, but I have learned a thing or two from my lecturers at law school. I have also learned a thing or two from even listening to the Attorney General and his concerns last night in the Legislative Assembly. And I have learned a thing or two by going into the Legislative Assembly and observing proceedings for myself. Now, following on from Section 69, at Section 73, it says, subject to this constitutional referendum on this section shall be binding on the government and the legislature if assented to by more than 50% of the persons registered as electors in accordance with Section 90. Subject to this constitution. So if the law was not in place first, because 69 comes before 70, and this is laying out the procedure that needs to go along with the referendum, and this is where we are at. We are at talking about a referendum on the December the 19th. So how do we get to a date that's supposed to be set by law without having the law that was supposed to be set according to the Constitution before we got around to this thing? The drafting of the referendum bill question comes under a law, and that law does not exist. So my question to you, sir, is, do I have a fair concern? Do I have a fair question when I say, do I make a fair statement when I say I have my concerns? I have questions about this. I am concerned about the democratic principle behind this. And I want to let you and many others, including the politicians, majority of them in the government, to know that this is the overriding opinion of people in this country. Everybody is now saying, but I'm not sure they're handling this project the right way. I'm not sure they're handling the project the right way. Listen, I can tell you something. Please, sir, bear with me. When they allowed the election office to move office at this time, the government, particularly the premier, should have said, It is not in the best interest of the people and therefore of the country to move the elections office at this time. Because we are about to embark on a referendum vote, there will be people coming and visiting the office. You see, the law must not only be fair, it must have the appearance of being applied fairly. Okay? And I don't see the appearance of fairness in this process at all. When I listened to the Premier speaking, they were debating the bill, right? And they did not spend as much time listening to the Premier because of the timing of the day. This was more focused on tit for tat. All right? He spent more time talking about CPR. He should have been applauding them, just as Mr. Chris Saunders did last night. Mr. Chris Saunders said he wants to be sure that it's recorded in the Legislative Assembly that these persons, and he listed them out, their names are recorded in history for having brought the first people's-initiated referendum into existence in the country. That would have been a glorious start. The Premier has made comments such as, "It's going to take a miracle." Instead of encouraging people and saying, listen, you have a democratic responsibility, you have a civic responsibility, you have a responsibility to this country as a citizen to become informed. There should have been a bombardment of information. They should have had people out handing out flyers. There should have been a constant advertisement on a radio station. It should have been all of this information, because today I am finding out about the session that happened at Margaritaville last night. You know why? Because it was not properly advertised. A public consultation is not something that you take it and you stick it down, notification of it, you stick it down the bottom left-hand corner of the newspaper. In order for you to have proper consultation, you have to make the people aware in due time so that they can make arrangements, so that they can attend the public consultation. So telling me today that you had one last night, not doing me no good.
All right, Ms. Coutinho, let's pause quickly, take a break, invite other callers to share with us. When we come back, we'll join our phones. Please stay tuned for Talk Today.
New name, new owner, new management. The TC Paint Shop is the authorized dealer for Sherwin-Williams in the Cayman Islands, and we are ready to serve your needs. We have got the very best quality makeup for your home and your commercial building. All at the TC Paint Shop is Sherwin-Williams paint. So does your home need a little makeup on it? Come and see us. Does your office need a little makeup on it? Come and see us. Lipstick, eyeshadow, face mask, all Sherwin-Williams style. 943-0565, 27 Godfrey Nixon Way. We are so looking forward to serving you soon.
Think about something that makes you happy. Did it make you smile? We know it did, because that's what we do at Sagicor. Put smiles on our clients' faces every day. With a large range of products to cover your family, it's no wonder most locals choose Sagicor for their life insurance needs. Serving the community for over 25 years. Let us put a smile on your face. Call your Sagicor advisor today.
The government claims the cruise berthing facility won't cost us a penny. It will be paid for by the cruise passenger who use it, not by our people or our government.
The fact is, you will be paying.
Because government is going to give the consortium development team, led by Royal Caribbean and Carnival, a portion of the cruise revenue that is currently being banked by government.
What's more, we will be repaying them
$450 million.
$250 million more
than what the facility even costs.
It's your vote, your future.
So make a decision based on fact.
You deserve the whole truth.
Vehicle owners are reminded that the Department of Vehicle and Driver's Licensing amnesty will expire on November 1st. The amnesty provides a waiver of back fees for unlicensed vehicles. If you plan to keep your vehicle on the road, keep your plates and visit the DVDL. If you are discarding your vehicle, dispose of it at the landfill and drop your plates off at the DVDL. For more information, contact 945-8344 or visit www.dvdl.gov.ky.
Ambitious, determined, beautiful, and unapologetically uncompromising. You have set the bar high. Now let High Fashion and Design Studio take you to the next level. Full service hair and nail salon carrying the top designer brands. Calvin Klein, 9 West. Shoes, clothing, accessories, quality dressmaking, tailoring, and custom design. High Fashion and Design Studio, located in Cayman Trade Center, 199 Eastern Avenue, across from Bananas Restaurant. Call 945-44 415 to book your high fashion and design experience today. Be bold, be true, be you.
After a hurricane, do not use the public water supply until the Water Authority advises that it is safe to do so. If the water supply becomes contaminated and unsafe to drink, the authority will issue a boil water notice. To comply with the notice, boil water vigorously for 4 to 5 minutes and let it cool before drinking. For more useful hurricane preparedness tips, visit the Water Authority's website at www.waterauthority.ky or follow us on social media.
Do you know any young person between the age of 10 and 25 with proven success in the areas of business, academics, career, sports, culture, or community service? Here's your chance to recognize their achievements by nominating them for the Proud of Them Awards. To play your part in honoring our community's most extraordinary youth, simply visit www.proudofthem.com or www.education.gov.ky to find the nomination instructions and details. Nominations are open now and close on November 20th. Join us in inspiring our youth to reach higher. Brought to you by the Ministry of Education, Youth, Sports, Agriculture, and Lands.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. And thanks to Miss Katina Anglin for sitting in and giving, if I may share, as a public perspective, at least your perspective. Miss Katina, as we invite you to continue your thoughts, we do have a caller online, I believe. Let's go to our phones. Good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for calling.
Hey, good afternoon to you, Sterling.
Good afternoon. How are you? How are you today?
Actually, boy, I'm actually a little bit under the weather, to be honest with you.
So you need some of these berries then?
I'm actually resting and I'm listening to the radio at the same time. And good afternoon to my very good friend in there, Katina.
Hi, darling. How are you?
Oh, wow.
I can fix you when I see you, though. You wait till I get my hands on you. You wait say you're home?
Yeah,
you're home? I can fix you. I know exactly where to find you now.
Yeah.
Should make it better, man.
Yeah, man. Listen, you know, her speech a while ago is perhaps what triggered me to rise above my personal feelings right now, being under the weather, and to call and to lend support and to also let her know that I admire her courage and that I admire the fact that you could take more information, or perhaps in this case less information, and be able to make a change in position in regards to how you feel. You and I shared a platform together once, and that does not mean that we see eye to eye on every issue. In fact, we have had knockdown, drag out privately.
If I didn't know what I can get, I feel it can be me and you.
But what I do recognize is that once you have come to a decision in respect to the information that you've received, that you are stalwart with it. And I admire that about you, Katina.
Thank you very much, Dwayne.
Yeah. It's along those same veins, though, and I want to share this thought to the listening public. It's along those same veins that perhaps I have come to my own decision. And I know the other day I called in Sterling, and forgive me if I'm going to have any sort of repetition. I'll try not to, because I think the other day I was more touching some of the things that your guests were saying at that particular time, some of the information they were sharing, and sharing a different lens to it and my understanding of it. Let me elaborate. So, as an individual, I too had my doubts about this particular government and the way that they necessarily brought about this project and some of the information they were sharing or not sharing. And as I said the other day, part of the reasons why I signed that petition, let me underscore, I think it's a good way to start. Let me pause there, that thought. Let me underscore it by also saying what Katina said. I understand the gravity of this country from an economic standpoint, economic development standpoint, not having a sufficient port, if that's what we need. And I don't know the numbers, I don't know the basis by which the government is purporting that we need a bigger port, because I've also heard arguments that we don't. But I understand that having a port, if for nothing else, that we can have bragging rights that we have a port. And when I say port, I'm talking about the container part of it. If for nothing else, that we are this wealthy country in the Caribbean, and that we have the state-of-the-art port that brings in our containers. I also understand that we also are in a competitive field.
Dwayne, pardon me for one moment, because we're talking about bragging rights. And I just want to interject real quickly here.
Sure.
Because it was the bragging rights to be the forerunning country with genetic mosquitoes that brought us into a huge expenditure in our environmental disaster, because we wanted to be the first one to say that we had this deployment of genetic mosquitoes. So is having bragging rights something that we should supposed to be considering when we're talking about in the best interest of the country?
Would you get out of my mind, Katina?
The great minds think alike, man. How about that?
Yeah. To add to that, though, Katina, I was going on to say that I understand that we're in a competitive field when we're in the tourism market. And that,
but then,
sorry. Let me
go ahead.
And that this country, as Mr. Harris in his submissions, the small bit that I mentioned last night, talked about the fact that he named all the various countries that were in competition with, or that had relocation of the coral reefs. He mentioned a lot of them, but I think there was a section that he mentioned, or one of them that mentioned, that talked about competitively what we're dealing with in terms of the Caribbean and port. I understand that we are in a competition in that regard, but when I put the totality of all that information together in my small mind, certainly in regards to the cruise ship here, because that's where we started. That's the one that's going to cause the tremendous amount of damage, in my view. I cannot see how we win. The environment, because there are so many arguments that say that our people don't speak out in regards to environmental issues or other environmental issues. Well, if the country doesn't know by now, Katina and I were the ones who stood against the government on the mosquito program. That was because of the environmental impact. It wasn't because we thought the mosquitoes were pesky, as they are, and all the other stuff, or that, as the Premier mentioned at that time, that we were being political in the whole nine. Listen, when I have the Speaker of the House, I'm calling now because he did it publicly to me. On the current CBR or CPR, whatever it is now, they have an advert that's going around with a young man, and he comments on there and says, seriously, to the young man that's speaking on that particular video, and says, when the country goes bad economically, who are they going to call, you and Dwayne? I'm like, why is this gentleman calling my name up in the middle of something because I share a view that is opposing to him? And he called me the PD mosquito. I don't know what the heck the PD mosquito is. But the point being, the important point being, and I have a lot of names I could call him, but the point being is that my concern was that we were going to damage our environment. And when I heard Mr. Ezra Miller and his contribution stood across the aisle and said, how many of you have dove out there? And he was talking to the government members. The camera didn't pan over to show any hands, but his response led me to believe that there was only one person that said that they dove out there on the government bench. And then he asked a rhetorical question, and you all want to damage all this?
Then I wonder if maybe that one hand might have been Mr. Bernie Bush, who spoke in his speech last night of having dove off out there in the harbor, and him and Joey Jackson and a bunch of them. So maybe it was Mr. Bernie. But sorry, continue on, Dwayne.
That's why he had a change of heart, because he fully understands what we have there. Dwayne, I want to end by saying, I'm not going to believe this. End by saying, this country, in the totality of all our information I was processing, has not been successful from a tourism standpoint, certainly even within the cruise tourism standpoint, because we didn't have a pier. We are seeking to destroy the very same environment that people are coming here to visit, in addition to, of course, all the land-based stuff and, of course, our people, which we tout. But as I mentioned to you a few days ago, Dwayne, have any rivers or mountains or any other major ecological systems outside of our birds and the laying and the snakes and those kind of things? We have, and what's the thing that we destroy along the north sound end? The mangroves.
The mangroves that they're getting them ripped down now, like they're not worth nothing no more because money has stepped in. But Dwayne, in all of the natural resources that we have, I think it is more than fair to say that the most valuable asset that this country has is the people. Listen, we are in demand. The cruise ships that do not call on Cayman have to call on Cayman when they set out, because they were speaking about, I don't remember the name of the cruise line. I can get that information for anyone in the public who wants it, or you can just go back and you can watch the videos of the legislative debate and you can hear this information for yourself. And they threatened and said no pay or no call, and within a couple of months their passengers had caused them to add Cayman Islands on because they wanted to come to the Cayman Islands. Now, why do you want to come to the Cayman Islands? You want to come to the Cayman Islands because it is virtually crime-free and the people are very friendly. It is unlike any other destination in this world.
That's business 101, Katina. That goes without saying, in that customers demand what it is that that businesses provide in terms of services. But let me just finish the thought, please, real quickly.
Sure.
The truth of the matter is that this country is built on the fact that we have a great underwater world that people can relax and enjoy. And when I think of the fact, and I've asked this question a number of times, and I've also found it in their own environmental impact assessments, or the environmental assessment boards assessment of their environmental impact assessment, because I've had to go do my own research. What really bothers me in the midst of all this, so having said that I understand the importance, so me going in there and voting no on this project has nothing to do with the fact that I don't understand the gravity of having a bragging rights port that facilitates cruise ship passengers and bringing in the world's biggest containers that we can find in this country. That goes without saying. Me going in there and voting no is because I understand that our environment has not been duly paid the respect it should have been paid by the government. We have not had this project for a long time, not because the people were indecisive or that we didn't understand the gravity. We haven't had this project because of, conversely, the very opposite. And for this government to think that they could just shove it down our throats because they were, I'm sure it's the some chest thumping response, which is that, you know, I'm going to go in there and let me show you how to build a port, you guys who have failed all this time before. No, it's because this country understands that we have very little in terms of natural resources. And we have done a very poor job, in my estimation, Dwayne, if you allow me 10 more seconds. We have done a very poor job with the land-based part of it, from pushing down mangroves to building near to the sea and the whole nine. Now we want to go after the goose that laid the golden egg, because if we don't think that that's what that is, we're sadly mistaken. So I just want to encourage the people of this country to understand that if we destroy that, like Katina and I was bellowing from the top of our voices every day in regards to the environment. We're no scientists, but we're no fools either.
No, and at the end of the day, too, Dwayne, what we were bellowing for was
more
information. We wanted, before this thing was released on us, we wanted to consent to it having been fully informed.
I did on every which level. Dwayne, I'm going to leave you.
Thank you, man.
I'm going to say to you, thank you for having Katina on. Your love for a very reasoned mind to be able to share with the public her convictions. And Katina,
thank you,
one last thing you said. Katina,
no, I'm not going to accuse.
No, one last thing you said. One last thing you said. You said when you were standing outside of Margaritaville, you watched the tourists getting wet. I just want to say this to you. I just want to say this to you.
That is the Margaritaville in town.
Right. Although you switched positions and you're now a no vote, I just want to say this to you, and sensibly so. What we're getting ready to build doesn't address the rain and problem. We've just switched it from I'm standing in the rain on Church Street standing in the rain on the piers. Have a good evening.
Thanks, man. And pray feedback. Ms. Katina, of course, to you and anybody else who wishes the invitation joins us. But as you look at the clock, the seconds tick.
Well, Dwayne, let me say this real quickly as the seconds continue to tick. My other concern about this is, so what happens then to the bill if our cruise tourism plummets and we don't have as many visiting tourists by cruise ship, because we have other islands that we see that a mega port does not increase their tourist activity and spending. So, and with the amount of activities that they have on board, there's no guarantee that they're going to exit. You can tell me how many numbers that it carries, but not how many are going to come off. Who's going to pay that bill then?
So we could be stuck holding the bag, is what you're saying?
Yeah. So then we have 200, starting at 200 million, and we not even talked about
subject to, right?
Subject to and all the rest of this, where we could end up. I think, if I'm not mistaken, 2 billion was the number last night. And so then, like the mosquitoes that I said, how are you going to pull them out of the air? That is a looming question over my head is, what if the plan that you have doesn't work? What is the contingent plan? How much money does my great-grandchildren still inherit from a decision that the government makes today?
All right. Ms. Katina, thanks very much. And as the caller just last shared, it's good to have, as he said, extraordinary people in the studio. So thank you.
But hold on one second. I want to say something else too. Miss Susan, just 1 second. I want to personally applaud my elected representative, Mr. Bernard Bush, for walking across the floor last night based on his personal convictions about the democratic principle.
And as he said, the feedback from his
and the feedback from his constituents.
Yes, well.
And that is what representation is all about. That is what bravery is all about, and that is what God-fearing is all about. Not serving me, serving you.
Yeah.
All right.
Forgive me for...
Thank you.
But thank you so much, and thanks to Miss Susan. Let's pause, take a break. Come
God
back.
Bless you, Cayman
Well,
Islands.
join us again. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
It's only 2 species that we have, on the island.
Generations present.
Your voice, your choice.
For today's biggest news. Access.
Local, regional, international, this is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom team.
Today's biggest news.
The Ministry of Education and Youth invites members of the public to submit nominations for Round 11 of the Proud of Them Award Scheme. The initiative, which honors excellence amongst young people in the Cayman Islands, is accepting nominations until Wednesday, November 20th. All young persons between the ages of 10 and 25 and who have demonstrated excellence and have proven success in the categories of academics, careers, business, sports, culture, or community service are eligible for nomination. You can check out www.proudofthem.com or education.gov.ky for nomination forms and more information. In news elsewhere, former U.S. President Barack Obama has challenged woke culture, telling young people the world is messy. He made the comments at the Obama Foundation's annual summit in Chicago on Tuesday. Mr. Obama said that calling people out on social media did not bring about change, and that change was complex. Woke is described as being alert to racial or social discrimination and injustice, along with being aware of what's going on in the community. Boris Johnson and Jeremy Corbyn have clashed over the NHS, Brexit, and leadership at the last Prime Minister's questions before the general election. The Labour leader said voters had a once-in-a-generation chance to save the NHS, which was in greater danger than at any time in its history. He said voters had the chance to back real change and an end to austerity. But the PM warned of economic catastrophe and political disaster if Labour got into power. Political parties are readying themselves for a general election campaign after MPs voted for a December 12th poll. Those are your latest updates here on Radio Cayman. I'm Shanta Gallego.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
The results confirmed that it is super easy for teens to get an e-cigarette, and among the teens who reported that they use e-cigarettes, 12% of them say their friends use it as well. 76.3% of over 3,000 teens said that their parents have had the conversation with them about drugs and alcohol. I bet you're wondering how I know all of this. Well, me and over 3,000 teens did a drug survey at school in 2018, and the results are directly from us, your teens.
Know the facts. Contact the National Drug Council and learn about the Parents as Preventers training. This message was brought to you by the National Drug Council and Radio Cayman.
As a Caymanian, it's very important to me that projects like this are thought of thoroughly before continuing.
My question is, do we need it? And I've not yet been fully convinced that we need it, nor have I been fully convinced that we don't need it. So
what guarantee do we have that these ships are going to continue to come?
Please make the right decision.
Please don't let the catchy songs overturn you. Please support the referendum. Please ensure that you are supporting sustainable tourism, not just money-making tourism.
If the project plans have changed, even though it might be insignificant on paper, it's going to be significant for the environment.
They need to release official information, official facts.
That's where I am right now. I want to know, I want more information on do we need it.
It's your vote, your future.
So make a decision based on fact.
You deserve the whole truth.
From happy beginnings to happy ever after.
BritK protects your lifestyle with the best insurance cover at the best possible price.
Health insurance with far-reaching benefits.
95% of claims settled in 5 days.
Low-cost life insurance.
And investments.
Security in retirement.
With a custodian pension plan.
For happy beginnings and a happy ever after.
Visit BritK.ky or call 949-8699.
BritK, where people come first.
Talk to Dick.
But I do have some questions.
Talk to Dick.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk to Dick.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thanks for joining us, and really, really grateful to Radio Cayman for allowing us an opportunity to extend our reach and our voice to as wide an audience to ensure that we are as inclusive as possible to keep our people as informed. Very grateful. If you're going to go on YouTube, here's a reason to. Miss Brigida Nemeth, if you don't mind, man, I admire your tats from afar. Some people don't wear the sleeves as well.
Yeah.
So good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
Okay, Mr. Mark Lawrenson, thanks again for coming back on board with us. We see sometimes that there are ways to inform people, there are ways to engage them. And I think when you can mix either sport and food or music and the arts with a setting that we're going to share with our listeners, what better way to bring the level of publicity that we seek so we can educate and inform.
We totally agree too. Good afternoon as well. But we totally agree.
Well, I appreciate my colleague, Raymond Singh, for helping us to set up this discussion, because I think too often we don't appreciate how so much happens in our communities, and they're good things that we wish to be a part of. They're things that remind us of the importance of how great, it is that we can contribute, not always be on the end of taking, but of giving. And sometimes it takes things to unfold that, maybe a little bit harder for some, but we see the grace and the graciousness of others. So, Mark, before we ask Ms. Brigida to weigh in, your perspective on this whole series, what do we call it? Trash Talks too?
Yeah, so we have a showing that is at Mojo Central Terrace. It's at the second floor of Bayshore Mall.
Mm-hmm.
The show's called Trash Talks 2. We originally done the Trash Talk 1 with the Jimi Hendrix, the big Coca-Cola piece. We had a piece from the Ghost Net. So this one's the second showing of the Trash Talks. This time we have a few more artists involved, which is fantastic. The idea is to inspire, and hopefully every single year we do start adding more names and more artists to these shows, and get more people involved in recycled artwork.
Okay. Ms. Brigida, from that perspective, your setting, whether we're enjoying Lux Day Streets or whether we're, the queer parade and the likes, but just a setting overlooking the water, but maybe I'm not that cool, but I'll use the word vibe. the ambience, maybe Susan would say, I should say, that you created there, inviting the community to be conscious of our impact and then the sort of invitation to be a part of how we impact that, as you share with us.
I think that I always, in my private life, I was always very conscious about my carbon footprint. I mean, I was raised to reuse and to be conscious of the usage of food and water and my clothing and books. But I think in business, I thought like profit matters first, so it was not that conscious, and then I realized that that's not right neither, and in business we have to be conscious as well, right? So the new businesses that we opened, everything was made out of material on island. The appliances and all the fitting and everything has been made out of refurbished and upcycled materials. And I'm also grateful that artists can show us that they can make not just, they can use, instead of art supplies, they can use trash and recycled materials, and not just create pieces that bring awareness, but also beautiful pieces, real art. So why not invest in art that is actually, it's good for the community, it's good for us too, because we are reducing actually of what we produce in trash-wise, right? So, Mark did this amazing piece. He made Jimi Hendrix right now, yes?
It was Jimi Hendrix first, and this one's the Mick Jagger.
Mick Jagger, I'm sorry.
Mick Jagger, Jimi Hendrix. Same person, right?
Yeah, he made Mick Jagger made completely out of broken toys. So you should see it. It has this like 3D feel to it. It's not, this piece has not been made just for awareness. It's a beautiful piece of art that I think that somebody who has money to spend should opt for this option instead of just something
original,
expensive.
It's creative, it's inspirational, but it also is conversational.
Yeah, well, the idea that we built on this is the same type of concept that we did with the Jimi Hendrix. From afar, it has you can recognize the facial features. The closer and closer you get, it gets to the point where then you'll find a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, you'll find a Power Ranger, you'll find some Lego pieces. We actually made it where then you can actually play with certain pieces. There is a crocodile head that the button still presses and the crocodile snaps at you. There's a few switches in there that turn on and off. There's a shark or an orca. I can't remember off the top of my head right now, but the jaw opens. The Lego door from the houses that you normally would build as a kid, the door swings open. There's a little surprise behind the door. We had fun building this. How we built it was we actually went around all the thrift shops. We would, for other pieces that we've done, we would go to the bookshop for the Humane Society, and there's a absolutely lovely lady there called Maria. Or Marie, I'm sorry if I got your name wrong there, but she, if you talk to this lady and you tell her, I am fascinated about, environmental studies, or I'm fascinated with certain things, she'll collect it for you, and she will message you on WhatsApp, arrange for a place that you can come in and see them, make sure that you want them in and take it with them. So with the relationship that we had there, where she was helping me with recycled books, she then put me onto the Humane Society thrift shop and said, if there's anything that you can look in there, obviously being a recycled artist, she said, they're needing as much help as possible, just like we do here in the bookshop. So we went in there and we talked to a lady called Jackie. And then Jackie, she has been amazing. Her name is Dwayne Ebanks. She then would basically pointed out all the boxes that she had. She took me in the back to this mound of craziness that they're trying to sort through, so that they can't sort it fast enough. As we're dropping her off, it takes time to put them in the right places and figure out if it's something they can even sell. So once we got into the toy boxes, we noticed that most of the toys that basically are unsellable. They're broken, they're dirty, they're somewhat outdated. Certain things that people used to play with, they don't play with anymore. And there was an abundance of it. So what we did was I now take in, it's the same bag that I originally got from Jackie in the first place, a red A.L. Thompson's bag. Even though it's plastic, we are reusing it. And we fill it right to the top full of plastic toys every visit that we go in. And it doesn't matter at the time if we're looking for specific colours. The idea is that we take as many toys as we can, and then we separate it in my studio into colours so then we can make it into artwork.
And as you share with us, we recognizing that, like many other societies, I'm thinking that in the Cayman context, we're almost coming full circle. Our parents and grandparents, out of necessity, had to use what they had. Their planting in the backyard wasn't because they were chic and savvy. It's because it was necessary. They're reusing of items or out of necessity. Here we are, fast forward now in the 21st century. Ms. Brigida, from that perspective, is it that there are those of us like you who grew up as part of that, well, that was just society that we're in, where it's not a fad? Are we able to now to make sure that our friends, our children, the future generation take up that same level of approach to their lifestyles?
Well, I think that we do live in consumerist society, right? So we are all encouraged to buy. Everything is single use. I think that, and this is where also like artists like Mark and different groups step in, like we need to make this lifestyle cool. You know, it's not the point for all of us to go zero waste. We should all waste less. Like if we could all go half, you know, we would be able to manage the trash that we leave behind. So, you know, it's like we can make beautiful art pieces out of trash. We can make cool bags, you know. And I would encourage everybody in Cayman and craft people and artists, let's make something out of the stuff that lays around, you know. It's not an option to send everything to trash more. Yeah. And also that, like, just like, you know, it's like certain things just should be cool, you know. Caring is cool, not buying. Buying is maybe not cool.
I guess it's like that birthday card that you get from your coworkers, your friends, that they take time to see, as opposed to someone goes out and buys an expensive thing. That thing that you get is personalized, it's special. Yeah. You cherish more. So, Mark, from that perspective then, is it then that it takes the artists in us, that creative genius, to be able to look at the bottle caps, to look at the broken toys, to look at the otherwise...
the fishnets.
Yeah, the thing that's disposed.
What we do is we evaluate the problem. We look into what is an issue and what can we do to make it into something better. Like I said, we started with the book shop, and I have made multiple art pieces from there. And I was then told we need help at the Humane Society thrift shop. I then met up with a lady called Miriam Foster from the NCVO. You know, first of all, congratulations on her achievements in the last couple of weeks. It has been fantastic. And she put me onto a thrift shop that I didn't even know existed. And with this thrift shop, the benefits that goes to the kids the thrift shop obviously benefits the NCVO. So all the programs and everything else that goes into it, the problem that we were finding is there's people needing assistance, and then there's also, you know, plastic or pollution problems. So if there's any way that we would be able to put ourselves in the middle there and find ways or find solutions on how to fix these. So at the end of the day, the artwork is you know, it's one of my favorites as it is. But the joy was actually going out and meeting the community, meeting people in the community, finding ways. I couldn't physically just hand them over money and say, all right, this is, you know, here's a donation or anything like that. But we were able to find ways where we could take plastic, make them into some sort of artwork, and almost have it where we build a concept where, you know, we could get people involved in using. Like, my goal is I would like to promote this as much as possible, to the point where if I go to a thrift shop, I find it hard to find materials for my own artwork.
Yeah.
If I can have it where people are out there and the people are understanding that, you know, we can, you know, we don't have to always paint. We don't always have to, you know, do watercolors or anything like that. There's, you know, mixed media is what it was called before. I believe now with everybody into the recycling, it's now recycled artwork, which is fantastic. So the idea is we want to inspire. We want to get the word out, and we want to get it to the point where, you know, not only are we fighting the plastic pollution, but we're also benefiting the thrift shops and the charities that go along with them.
All right. Well, when you come back from a break, tell us more about, you know, how to get involved. Tell us about the event itself and different things, because we start to see it, but then we're not quite sure how we can embrace it and how we can be engaged. All right. Quick short break. Miss Susan does the heavy lifting. We'll sit and relax. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
a caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
I've got some beautiful clothes. I know just where they go. Puritan Cleaners.
Puritan Cleaners, serving the Cayman Islands for over 60 years. Take advantage of this fall special from now until 31st October, offering owners special 12% off all prepaid orders, $20 and up on all household items, plus ladies and gents apparel. This offer is good at all our stores. Savannah Countryside, 946-1884. Elgin Avenue, Georgetown, 949-2452. Eastern Avenue, Georgetown, 949-7104. Drive through rain or shine. Puritan Cleaners. You feel good when you look good.
Congratulations, I hear the family is expanding.
Yes, our family is growing bigger, but I don't know how we're going to get around. Our old car just doesn't have enough room.
You should head over to Vamp Motors and ask about the Toyota Rush. It's a 7-seater SUV with lots of room and safety features, and it's on sale for just $21,900.
Rush in to Vamp Motors for the best deal of the year on the Toyota Rush SUV. Save up to $2,600 with Vamp cashback and the Toyota factory rebate going on right now. Fuel efficient, stylish, roomy, and loaded with safety features. The Rush is the perfect SUV for you and your family, starting from just $21,900. Visit Vamp Motors and drive your deal home today while stock lasts. Congratulations, it's a boy.
During the greatest events of your life, whether or not you have the right health insurance coverage should be the last thing on your mind. That's why at Fidelity Health, we are committed to helping you get matched with the right plan to suit you and your family. We offer a range of plans to suit your budget, plus access to a network of quality care throughout the Caribbean and the USA. You can relax and enjoy life's greatest moments when you are covered with Fidelity Health. Call us today at 949-7822 for a free quote.
Pirates Week is sending out an SOS to all soca junkies. Sounds of Soca is bringing the biggest, baddest soca artists to Harbor Drive. Friday, November 8th, dance to the sounds of Irfan Alves, Alison Hines, and the Queen of Bacchanal, Destra. All backed by the Bacchanal Band. $30 pre-sold, $40 at the gate. Gates open at 7 p.m. But that's not all. It's a vibe with Nessa Preppy on Saturday, November 9th. Free. SOS also features some of Cayman's top DJs and entertainers. Sounds of Soca. A weekend of street dances. Friday, November 8th and Saturday, November 9th. Get your tickets now at Winner Circle, Blackbeard's Liquor, and eventpro.ky. Sounds of Soca is sponsored by Ministry of Tourism, Department of Tourism, Ministry of Culture, AI Rentals, Ace Hardware, Bacardi, Cayman Airways, and Sharkies.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us, and it's always a pleasure to be able to extend our community, all the great things are unfolding in our society, so we become aware. Ms. Gita Nemeth, Mr. Mark Lawrence joins us, and there's a caller online. I mean, Susan's in the other studio, but hey, she's still in charge. Let's go to the phones. Good afternoon. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon, Dan.
My good friend, how are you, man? You making it, and thanks for sharing.
Yeah, man, you're welcome, man. Good afternoon to you guests, too.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, I was listening to the BBC News a few weeks ago. And the son of the man that invented the plastic bag, he said that his father would be very saddened to know that the damage that plastics are having to the environment. But he said that he remembers as a child that his dad invented the plastic bag to be reused. Because he said he remembers his dad having a plastic bag, and he used to wash it and clean it, and he used to keep the plastic bag in his pocket. So,
sorry, let me touch on this one for you. Plastic was invented for a reason. It's something that can't be somewhat destroyed. In certain cases where it's, you want to have a case, or, like a good example, a hurricane happens to hit the Cayman Islands. If you were able to put all of your valuable documents as well as your, money or anything like that in a water-sealed plastic box, it will withstand, all the hurricanes and everything else like that, and keep your things safe. The plastic's actually done a good job. But when it comes to single-use plastics, where we're basically told that once we've used it, we don't need it anymore, then that is obviously the issue. So I believe when the guy made plastic, he was thinking that, I've made something, I've built something to do good for the world. But at the end of the day, it was then redesigned and made into, obviously, consumerism, where it was then, changed from a good source to pollution.
Yeah, we just need to think about 7 billion people using every day 5-6 plastic bottles or 4 or 5 plastic bags, and how many sets of single-use cutlery for our take-out food is a huge amount of trash.
So I still think that plastic in certain places, like say, I believe, plastic syringes for doctors and everything like that is almost something that's needed. As long as there is a use for it and there's a way for it to be cleaned or reused, then I still believe plastic is a good way to move forward, because it almost can't be destroyed. It would take years and years and years and years for it to somewhat break down, but it would not fully break down at all. So as long as it has a purpose here that helps us or helps the environment, then I'm all for it. But if it's got something, especially with single-use plastics, that is only going to damage the environment and damage us as humans, then I believe that's where there has to be a line drawn in the sand to say, well, this is good and this is bad.
All right.
Yes, my mother said that back in the day, sandwich bags, people used to clean them and reuse them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Today we use sandwich bags probably once and throw them in the garbage.
True.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Hey, thank you, man.
Thank you for your call.
Enjoy your afternoon as well. Now, I recognize how much fun tonight is, and the time flies as we go by. We're talking about this for the public who are not sure. Can we invite them? Tell us more. I mean, Friday is just...
Yes, Friday we're going to do a clothing swap for ladies. So between 6 and 8, we're going to get together and exchange clothes, update our wardrobe, and the ladies are encouraged to start coming from 11 o'clock, and for every piece of clothing we're going to give them a ticket, and then they're going to come back. They can come back at 6 o'clock at night and they can shop for those tickets. Other people's clothes. And then we're going to show a couple of documentaries from 7 o'clock. There's going to be a short 20-minute film, which is going to be, targeted to children, I guess, and a couple of more short documentaries. And also all the art is going to be right there, so people can come by and have a look at all the arts and meet the artists as well. And then on Saturday, Mark can tell you more.
Yeah, on Saturday we're doing the artist meet and greet again. Where then
official.
The official one. We will be there on the 1st of November, but the 2nd of November we will be there. If anybody does have any questions, or if they have any ways that they want to things that they want to talk about and figure out how they want to be involved, or any ways that they want to try and maybe sign up for next year's Trash Talk 3, basically we're going to be there to help out and push people in the right direction.
I just want to add also, so the event is hosted and organized as well together with Trash Talks by Plastic Free Cayman. So a little donation for Plastic Free Cayman are encouraged. They are not a must, but they are encouraged. But also people can get involved with maybe with the beach cleanups or any sort of help they think that they can afford time.
All right, and for those who not sure, this taking place Friday and Saturday, and tell us where again.
We are located in Mojo. Mojo is in Bayshore Mall, which is where the Stingray Fountain is on the second floor. We also have 2-for-1 happy hour, 2-for-1 crepe, and $4 drinks for this event, which is on a Friday. And on Saturday we have 2-for-1 sushi for the Meet the Artist meetup and $5 mojitos.
The artist as well that's going to be at this event is going to be Joseph Berry, Marsha Cordner, Kerwin Ebanks, Rodna Eddy, Bonnie Lambert, myself, Mark Lawrenson, Nasseria Sakatu Chalette, June South Robinson, and Olivia Sutton.
And Kerwin?
Yeah. Kerwin's there, yes.
Yeah, of course, you can't forget Kerwin.
Oh, we can't forget Kerwin. Kerwin, I love Kerwin. Kerwin's a great guy. Kerwin is, if he's not running around crazy building canvases for people, making frames or doing, any sort of carpentry for him, you'll find him actually on the beach stuffing plastic in his pockets. The man is my wife gives me so much grief saying I'm a hoarder. And I said to her, well, it could be worse. You could be married to Kerwin.
No, man, Kerwin is committed, and
he's a great guy. And the best thing as well is that what I love about Kerwin is that me and my wife from Stoked, we do keep busy making these art pieces. We would love to spend more time with the artists, and thank God for Kerwin to actually set this event up. So then we actually have time to go back out to the public and do more of this, trying to inspire people. But we also get to speak with the artists that's here on Island. Kerwin's been doing a great job. Not only is he a pioneer in the recycling artwork, he knows every artist on Island. He builds all the canvases and boards and everything as it is. But the passion that he has for cleaning up the beach and wanting to push forward and want to do these type of things.
And also the work with children, right?
Yeah, it's honourable. Yeah. It's honourable.
Kerwin Ebanks, man, I tell you, he is. I appreciate you sharing that. Not to take away from the artist of Chalette or any other artist that you reference, but Kerwin, there's something just special about him, man.
He's definitely special.
He's remarkable, man. I really appreciate it. But Brigida, in closing, I think venues like yours, proprietors like you, to allow the public access to the artists to have a space for us as a people to be able to, whether we see it as a part of an evening out or whether we understand our impact. We use words like upcycling, carbon footprint. We throw around so many of these terms into today's language that it may be for some not unlike the movements of the 50s and 60s, but the consequence are probably even more.
And that is because we think that the most important thing is profit, and it's not always the profit. So as the young man was saying that his mother said that before we used to wash the sandwich bags, and right now it's more convenient and I guess cheaper to just buy a bag, and we don't think of what we leave behind for the future generations, which is not a good heritage, I guess.
Exactly.
We should be leaving behind culture and music and art, and not trash for the future generations to deal with.
Like it, and depending on how you interpret it and apply it, but if you see it as an adage or if you see it as scripture, what does it say? How should it profit a man to gain the world and lose his soul? And this is what we're talking about. You can't take it with you. Know how much money you have. What are you doing? How will it affect your children, your grandchildren? Whether it's be careful getting into politics. But thanks very much. Before I ask Ms. Brigida, any final thoughts, you or Mark? So Friday night and Saturday, over upstairs, second floor, the Bayshore Mall.
If you want to buy amazing arts and do a good thing, buy amazing upcycled arts done by this amazing local artists who use as a canvas something that we are trying to get rid of.
My last thought for this as well is that with Brigida, obviously wanting to be a part of the community, and she's also in a spot which almost has no nightlife. Georgetown has been, there's been talk about revitalization for a while now. She's building something. The best thing about the Bayshore Mall is there's plenty parking at the back. I think it's after 5 or 6 o'clock. Even though you have to get a ticket to get into the parking spaces, it's open when you have to leave. So you're not going to be paying for parking for Georgetown, which is great. But I applaud Brigida because this is something that Georgetown needs. This is something that, to get the community involved. This is something that we can get everybody together for certain things. Recycling one is a great way to do it. But, if there was more business people or more businesses in Georgetown that was able to grasp this and use this platform, I feel that the revitalization of Georgetown would become a lot easier task than if it was where it's only one person sadly that's doing it right now.
Well, somebody needs to blaze a trail. I'm glad to see you.
Thank you for kindness.
All right, well, Friday evening, at least from 6, at least, and come from 11 and start to give in there. Who knows what their wardrobes will look like in the next day. Well, maybe we get a chance to chat with you some more. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon, and hopefully Friday evening we get to chat again.
Thanks for having us.
All right. To our listeners, thanks again for paying attention. If you got a special request, just call Susan. If you're not sure, just listen. It's going to be pleasing to the soul. Come back tomorrow for Talk Today after the midday news and midday meditation. But on behalf of the Youth Flex crew, why don't you stay tuned and join them this afternoon? Not just because, well, who's on the air? You want to know? Stay tuned. You'll find out. Until tomorrow, be blessed.